Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. So we are delighted to welcome you to this inclusive webinar in collaboration with Newcastle University. We're really excited to have you with us and hope today's session will give you the valuable insights into the study in the UK. So before we get started, I just have the few quick housekeeping notes. So first of all, today's session will be recorded. So if you are unable to stay for the full webinar or would like to visit at part of later, so the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, i.e. Global UK. So along with the frequently asked question summary based on today's discussion. So if you have any questions during the session, put in the chat box. So if the questions related to everyone will be addressed during the question and answer session at the end. For more specific, the questions will be do our best to answer them as we go. So, and of course, if you just like to say hello or share your thoughts, feel free to use the chat. So we always lovely hearing from you. So today we are very fortunate to have the wonderful guest with us. Pleasure to introduce the Daniel Sutton, International Students Recruitment Officers at Newcastle University. And Daniel will be sharing valuable insights into the study at the Newcastle University, including the key highlights of master's programs and new academic programs for the 2026 intake and some scholarship opportunities for you. Also, we have the live question and answer. So if you have any questions study in the UK, you can ask in it. So we really are grateful to have Daniel with us today. Hello, Daniel. Before Daniel
Hi everyone, nice to meet
yeah,
you.
yeah, nice to meet you. So before Daniel begins, let me briefly introduce IAE Global. So my name is Mimosa. I'm marketing officers at IAE Global UK and Europe. And join us today is my colleague Sam, our marketing officers, who will be leading the question and answer session later on. So if you have any questions for today webinar, please do not hesitate to drop them into the question and answer box. And Sam and Daniel will be very happy to answer them. So let's begin the so firstly, let's talk about a little bit what make the IE Global's leading education service provider. So founded in 1992, now have the over 30 years of the experience in international education. So today we operate more than 40 offices across the 10 countries, supported by the global teams of more than 250 education experts. And we work closely with over 307 university and colleagues worldwide. So most importantly, everything we do is driven by students' first mindset, ensure the high quality support to every stage of the journey. So why do so many students choose to work with iGlobal? So firstly, our global network means that always a local team are ready to support you. Secondly, we trusted by the leading institutions across the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada and beyond. The third, we offer comprehensive support covering application, scholarship, accommodation, and aftercare services once you started study. So finally, we provide our study plan supports students from the high school through to the PhD level. At IE Global, we do not just help students apply the application, we support them from the start to success. So you may be wondering how we ensure such high standards in everything we do. I.e. global quality and professionalism are extremely important to us. Over the years, we earned recognitions from some of the most respected organizations in international education. So we are proud to be credited by the ARRC, a British Boarding Schools Network approved agent, a member of IEAA, ICEF accredited agency, and ICEF, the PIE certificate, and British Council's recorded organization. So we are also honored to be a Pioneer Awards 2025 finalist recognizing our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So these accreditations ensure that the guidance you receive from the IA Global always meets strict professional and ethical standards. So one of IA Global the strengths is our global presence. So we currently operated in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, Vietnam, Thailand, Nepal, Pakistan, and India. So we based in the UK London office. So that means we're able to offer local support with a truly global perspective. So no matter where you're applying from, so our team understands your background, your education system, and your study goals. Applying to the study abroad can sometimes feel overwhelming, and that's exactly where we come in. So our process always begins with a personalized study plan. So we assess your academic like background and future goals to identify the most suitable pathway, whether the foundation, undergraduate or master or the PhD study. So once your course is selected, we support you through every step of the application process, the personal statement and documentations to interview and offer management. So when you receive your offer, we guide you through your cards or COE and the supports and get you the student's visa application. So our role is simple to make the process as smooth, clear, and stress-free as possible. At iGlobal, our support doesn't stop after your application is submitted. We help with the accommodation, airport pickup, enrollment, or international aftercare service, academic procession planning, and career development supports such as internship and part-time work. So we also host a welcome event on campus, meet across UK university, allow students to connect, receive the guidance, and free supported during their first steps abroad. So from application to the guidations and beyond, so IE Global is always by your side. Over the years, we've helped thousands of students take the first step towards their dreams, and many of them have gone on the study at some of the world top universities, from the Russell School institutions here in the UK to leading university in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. All students have achieved amazing things, and we couldn't be provided. So we make sure students transition smoothly from the pathway program into the full degree courses, and we work closely with our partner universities to ensure that students do not just get in, they truly thrive. So one example is like the proud of a strong partnership with Newcastle University, because these partnerships we already seen so many of our students take their very first step towards a bright and successful futures there. So if you're looking for a clear and well-supported pathway from the foundation studies all the way to the graduations and beyond, remember IAE Globals together with our trust partners like Newcastle University is here to guide you every step to the way. Yes, and now without further delay, so I would like to hand over to our guest speaker, Daniel Sott.
Do I just share my screen on here? See if I can share my screen. Perfect. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay. So As you've heard, my name is Daniel. I'm one of the international recruitment officers for Newcastle University. So my main markets are Europe and UK international. So I recruit students from pretty much all of mainland Europe, and then also any international students that are kind of domiciled in the UK, whether it be permanently or temporarily for study or whatever it is. I can speak on kind of other markets or other regions. So if anyone else is in a different circumstance, I'm happy to answer questions as best I can, or give you the email for one of our other recruitment officers or managers who market for your region who might be able to give more in-depth answers. However, the presentation I've got here today is just a little kind of overview of Newcastle as a city and what we are, what we're about. If anyone is unfamiliar with the university, we are based in the city centre of Newcastle. It's well known for being incredibly lively, friendly, and a very student-based place to live. It's not a huge city geographically. You can get everywhere on foot. You don't need to worry about public transport. We're nowhere near kind of comparable to a London or a Manchester or a Birmingham in terms of kind of sheer size. The actual city itself is incredibly accessible. While we do have public transport, there isn't really much use for it if you're already in the city centre. Because of that, and because of the high number of student population that we've got, this is kind of where you end up getting this really kind of heavy populated student lifestyle that the city's kind of ended up with. Because again, we're not a huge city geographically, we're all quite condensed in a small area. But because we have a huge student population here in Newcastle, there's another university just over the road from us, about a 5-minute walk, and they have quite a large student population as well. And because of that, in such a small area, you found that the whole city's kind of developed into becoming a very student-based area to live. This is where we're based. If anyone is unfamiliar with kind of the geography of the wider UK, we are up in the northeast of the UK. While it might look a little bit out of the way, we are still really well connected, not just to the other parts of the UK, but also further afield as well. We have a train station in Newcastle, and there's regular trains that will run all the way down to London, up to Edinburgh, and then places in between, such as Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, Liverpool. We do have an international airport in Newcastle. It's about a 20-minute metro ride, so just our version of the tube, basically, from campus. So it's very easy to get to and from. From there, you can fly to over 80 destinations, and we have regular flights to places like Paris, Amsterdam, down to London, Frankfurt, Barcelona, Dubai. And like most people, I assume, would know, once you get to places like Paris, Amsterdam, and London, it's very easy to then go even further afield. So we are still very well connected to the rest of the UK, but also to places in Europe and then places further around the world from there as well. Just some kind of facts and figures, I guess, on Newcastle as a city. So we are a top 40 best student city globally. This is from the QS Best Student Cities of 2025. We were ranked best student city in the UK, I want to say in like 2021, 2022, I'm not too sure, a little while ago. So we are kind of consistently recognized for being a kind of great place to live for students and having that amazing student lifestyle. We are a little bit of a hub for innovation, technology, and stuff like that as well. All the different stuff that's come from Newcastle, the kind of places that are moving their workforces into Newcastle and stuff around that. The largest AI data center in Europe. We've got companies like Nissan, Accenture, Sage, Ubisoft as well that have all got hubs and base of centers in Newcastle as well. Like I've mentioned, we are walkable and very well connected, which for me is a huge plus for anywhere that you want to go. You're not only spending money on public transport, but you save yourself a lot of time by just being able to walk around and get around as well. And then you do have the metro system should you want to use it. It may all not always seem like that. It's quite dry at the minute outside today, but we are also one of the dry cities in the UK. Somebody has told me this, but I can't remember what the actual science behind that is. But there is science and fact to it. But although in this kind of time of the year, it might not always seem that way. I would still recommend packing some warm clothes, though it can get a little bit cold. On what I was saying before around kind of the student population that we've got in Newcastle and what that's kind of led to, I think this is the kind of biggest example is the city's kind of home to countless places, countless bars, restaurants. We've got multiple art galleries and theatres that students can go to. We have the more kind of classic things like cinemas, parks. We have music festivals that go on outside inside of the city. A lot of sporting events. We've got rugby teams, basketball teams. We're quite famous for our football team with St James's Park, the football stadium being based in the city centre as well. There's actually 2 Michelin-starred restaurants in the city centre. We have something called Restaurant Week at the start. It's usually in like September every year, which is where pretty much every restaurant in the city centre will run massive discounts. and you can get, full kind of meals, three-course meals for 10, £12. Sometimes even cheaper, depending on what restaurant you go to. So there's a lot of opportunity for students to kind of go out and enjoy themselves. Like I said, 7 art galleries, 4 theatres, 4 cinemas. Currently pursuing UNESCO City of Music status. We've got a lot of music festivals that come and host out of here as well. We had the Mercury Prize held out of here as well, which is the first time it's ever been held outside of London. With Sam Fender, if anyone's familiar with Sam Fender, local to Newcastle, winning one of the Mercury Prizes this year as well. 33 parks, green spaces. There's a ton of stuff to do in Newcastle and a ton to keep you entertained, whether that be the more kind of going out social side of things with the bars and the restaurants, or whether you want something more relaxing, you want to kind of go into the countryside, to the beaches, one of the parks, or do something different like an art gallery or a theatre and go and see a film, stuff like that. And yeah, we're still very close to nature. We've got a beach again around, I want to say 15 minutes on the metro, and we're quite a historical city as well. A lot of castles, a lot of historical battle sites. So if anyone's into their history, into their culture, you're going to have a lot of that around Newcastle, and you can kind of immerse yourself in it as much as you want to. This is a kind of overview of the city centre here. So you'll see we do like our bridges. If anyone has been in Newcastle or visits in the future, you'll be very well aware that we are a fan of a bridge. So the river you see there is called the River Tyne, that flows through the middle of the city and divides Newcastle city centre from what we call Gateshead, which is essentially just the town on the other side of the river. That is our most famous bridge in the bottom left, the Tyne Bridge, the big green one, and that takes you across the river from Gateshead to Newcastle. And then from there, you just kind of have the city kind of sprawled out in front of you. You'll see up in the top left, we have our train station. So you'll see again how kind of closely connected that is to the city centre and how easily accessible it is if you're getting the train either into Newcastle or you want to get the train out of Newcastle. Those buildings up in the top right, where a few of those cranes you can see are, that's the kind of general area that we're based. That's where the university is based. So we are, again, as a university, quite close and quite well connected to the city centre. And then the rest of it kind of has everything kind of else just kind of melts in. So you'll have a lot of bars and restaurants down at the quayside, which is this kind of strip of land down by the river. But then you have more and more stuff kind of as you pile out and into the city centre itself. And then if you look all the way at the back in the middle, you'll see a mighty looking building at the back, and that is St James's Park, and that is our football stadium that's based up out there as well. Some more pictures of the city then. So you'll see these are mostly kind of pictures of the quayside. So you'll see kind of what it can look like on a night time. Again, this is a really popular social area that we've got. A lot of students will go here to socialize, get some food, have some drinks, stuff like that. And we've got a lot of places there. They're kind of food stall vendors, essentially, where a bunch of different restaurants will pop up kind of like a temporary vendor space, and you can kind of try out different foods, try out different drinks. And the quayside is a really, really lovely place to go, especially on a night when you've got the bridges kind of lit up and the whole place kind of looks very scenic. Some of the nature that I talked about, we've got a lot of different examples again here in Newcastle. We've got the Angel of the North, which you'll see kind of as you come into the city. On the bottom, again, you've got some of the beaches that I gave an example of and some of the opportunities to go there and kind of, especially if the weather's nice, soak up a little bit of that culture from there. But then you can also go further afield up into the north. You can see all the different castles and all the different history and culture that we've got based in the northeast. We've got places like Alnwick Castle and Bamburgh Castle that you can go and visit. If anyone's a fan of Harry Potter, the films, they filmed a lot of the Hogwarts scenes at Alnwick Castle up in Northumberland, so about what I want to say a 45-minute drive from Newcastle City Centre. And if you go up there, they've got loads of kind of props and kind of stuff to show you around Harry Potter, which is really cool. In the top right, you can see Hadrian's Wall. And then that tree is actually called Sycamore Gap. That's actually been cut down, unfortunately. Some people went and cut it down, but it is in the process of being rebuilt, and it's still a beautiful place to walk along. So if you want to have a walk along Hadrian's Wall and learn a little bit about kind of where it came from and the history behind it, then I definitely recommend that. Especially for people that are into their kind of historical stuff. I mentioned the football. If you ever do visit Newcastle, there is one thing you'll learn very quickly about us as a city is that it's a little bit football mad. We're a huge kind of sporting place in the UK, and football is kind of the hub of that, I guess. The stadium's kind of the centerpiece of the whole city. If you're here on a match day, there's actually a game on today. If you're here on a match day, you'll kind of immediately realize that the noise and the buzz is kind of hard to ignore. All the fans kind of going out, enjoying themselves, making their way towards the stadium. After the game, especially if they've won, again, you can definitely feel that kind of atmosphere kind of flooding out of the stadium and into the city. So it really is quite an incredible thing to witness if you are in the city, kind of in and around a match day. If anyone does come to Newcastle and can get themselves a ticket, the team is good now. They previously weren't very good for a long time, but they've kind of picked it up, and they're starting to play better the last few years. So getting a ticket can be quite difficult these days, but if you are lucky enough to get one, I'd strongly recommend going and just kind of soaking up that atmosphere that you can get. And it really shows you how kind of connected the city is, but also kind of how passionate they are about their sport in particular. So a little bit more about our campus then, and not just the city centre itself. So we are a Russell Group University. If anyone's heard the term Red Brick University, that's usually attributed to Russell Groups, and not directly because those are older, but you'll kind of notice that red brick feel around us as a campus. We are a very old university, and we've got that kind of traditional cultural feel to it. Some of the pictures you see in here are from different areas in our campus. That picture in the top right is our students' union. So when you join the university, you'll spend a lot of time in there. There's a co-op in there, which is essentially just like a small local shop. We've got other places in there like a Domino's Pizza and a bunch of different cuisines. We've got a bar in there as well for students to go to, but then there's also a lot of like learning spaces, and we have some of our support team based out of there as well. So that is right in the middle of our city centre campus. And it's a beautiful looking building that you can walk along. We've got a lot of green on our campus, and it's a really, really lovely place to walk by. And as you can see, we've kind of tried to keep the history of the campus alive as much as possible. So it really does have that historical, cultural feel when you're walking around, and is something that's just really beautiful to be around, I think. You'll see a few of these pictures. The top left, bottom left, and bottom right pictures have some arches on there. Those double arches are quite famous. It essentially is the center of our campus. Once you're standing in those, you're kind of right in the middle of everything. But it's also where all of our students take their graduation photos. So if you do come to the university and hopefully you graduate, that's where a lot of our students will go to take their graduation photos, and where a lot of the celebrations kind of spill out from. So it's definitely an amazing place and a nice thing to see when we've got students kind of coming around, graduating, taking their photos there. It's definitely a nice sight for myself in particular. This is a separate part to our campus. You'll notice there's definitely a shift in kind of modernity that we'll see from the previous campus that we saw. So this is probably about a 10-minute walk from the campus you've just seen, if that. This is actually right next to the football stadium. So that picture you see in the top right is our business school. That picture was taken from inside the football stadium, so it shows you kind of how close they are together. So yeah, this is where all our business courses will be housed. Any finance, accountancy stuff will all be housed at the business school. And like I say, it's probably about a 10 to 8-minute walk from the main campus that we've just seen on the last slide. The other buildings you can see, they're right behind our business school. So you can kind of see one poking through the middle of the business school and the blue building to the left. And the rest of those buildings are held just behind, literally a 30-second walk up behind those. And it's what we call our Helix campus. So we have a bunch of different buildings on there. The one you can see in the bottom right is our urban sciences building. This is where you'll have a lot of our different kind of newer modern sciences, things like computer science, environmental science, stuff like that will all be held out of there. AI, data science, stuff like that. The building in the middle we have is called our Frederick Douglass building. It's more of a generic building that's used for a host of different things. It has the biggest lecture room that we have on campus, but it's also used for like events and stuff like that. If there's any kind of big events that the university are doing, they'll host a lot of stuff on there. And the rest of our Helix campus is essentially used as kind of temporary offices or offices for other companies. So we found one of the big benefits of having kind of corporations and companies working on our campus in office space that we own is it gives the students really close contact with them. So if we've got offices and places, people working out of Newcastle University campus, and the students want to get placements or they want to kind of have interaction with employers and kind of get their foot in the door and do some networking, one of the best things about having them so close is the students have got umpteen opportunities to do that, and they can kind of speak and interact with employers and really kind of network to their heart's content, essentially, which we think is absolutely fabulous. And we have a lot of those on our Helix campus, and we're only continuing to kind of grow the campus as well as time goes on. A little bit more information about the university then. So we have outstanding global reputation and academic excellence. So we are a global top 140 university according to the QS University Rankings of 2025, and we're a top 10 UK university for sport according to the BUCS League Rankings. So if anyone's into their sport, if anyone's competitive and wants to get involved in any university sport while you're here, then it's a great place to get involved with the rankings that we've got. We're also a founding member of the Russell Group alongside Oxford, Cambridge, and 21 of the leading UK universities. Again, if anyone has any questions about the Russell Group or anything like that, I'm happy to answer them. We were number one. There we go. So I knew we were number one ranked at some point. Number one best student seat in the UK according to University Compare 2026. That's a more modern one than I thought. 95% of our graduates are in work or further study after 6 months, and we're top 90 in the world for employer reputation according to QS World Rankings of 2024. These are two things that are really important to us. We're always trying to make our we're always trying to make our programs as employable as possible, and we're trying to make them as practical as possible. We want students to be given as much experience so that they can go on and kind of get jobs and already have that experience when they go into the world. So we try to make sure our programs aren't just kind of lecture-based, classroom-based. While there will be time for that, we want to make sure that we're also putting students in situations that they'll experience in the real world, so that when they graduate and go on, they've got as much experience available to them in terms of what they'll actually be doing to hopefully get a job and succeed in whatever job they want to do. So we do make sure we try to do that with all of our programs. In terms of what we offer then in programs, so this is how the university is kind of divided up. So we've got the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, which is our HAS faculty. We've got the Faculty of Science, Agriculture and Engineering, which is our SAGE faculty. And then we've got the Faculty of Medical Sciences, which is FMS. So our Humanities and Social Sciences, then these aren't programs that we offer per se. They're more kind of subject areas, and then we might have 1, 2, potentially up to 10 programs that sit within these subject areas. Naturally, I don't have time to kind of go through and list every single UG or PG program that we offer for 2026. So I've tried to kind of give you an overview. If people have specific questions, I've left my email at the end, and I'd be happy to go through kind of and give you specific suggestions to yourself. But for the sake of this, I've tried to kind of keep it as broad as possible, just because of the scale of programs that we offer. But for our humanities and social sciences, we've got things like architecture, planning and landscape. We've got arts and cultures programs. We've got education, communication programs. And we've got your host of kind of humanity-based programs, as you'd expect: English language, literature, geography, sociology, politics, history, etc., etc. We have modern languages programs. We have our Newcastle Law School and our Newcastle Business School sit out of the humanities and social sciences faculty as well. The business school, again, for example, is just one area. We'll have a whole host of different programs, especially at postgraduate level, that sit within that kind of category. Our science, agriculture, and engineering faculty. This is where you'll find things like chemical engineering, civil, electrical, marine. We've just added aerospace engineering. We've got things like renewable energy. We've got things like agriculture, biology, chemistry, like I mentioned before, environmental sciences. And then we've got our kind of computing and maths programs. So math, stats, physics, computing, cyber data, AI, software, games, stuff like that. This is actually an article that came out recently on September 16th, and it's showing kind of the role the Northeast is playing in kind of AI. Obviously, AI is kind of the big talking point, I think, of the world at the minute. You know, some people are scared of it. Some people talk about the benefits of it. But as a region, the Northeast is kind of trying to, I guess, promote more information around it, but also promote the industry as a whole. So like you see here, our AI growth zone that we've got in Newcastle is going to promote more than 5,000 new jobs, bringing 30 billion of investment to the Northeast as a region, and essentially going to make us a hub going forward of AI technology. So if anyone is interested in that kind of computer science, AI world, Newcastle is absolutely an amazing place to be for that, as you'll see, because the Northeast is about to become, as the article says, a bit of an AI powerhouse going forward in the next few years. Last but not least, then, our Faculty of Medical Sciences. So this is where you'll find things like biomed, biomolecular sciences. It's where we've got our dental program, food and human nutrition, our medicine program, and things like psychology, pharmacy, sport and exercise science as well. In terms of the business school specifically, then I know I was mentioned before that it might be something students particularly interested in. I just thought I'd get up some rankings from some of our business programs. So we are top 120 for Masters in Finance, top 120 for Masters in Management, according to the QS Business Rankings from 2025. We're top 70 for Masters in Marketing and top 35 for Supply Chain Management from the same rankings as well. And overall, we're top 200 in QS Global MBA rankings and top 50 in the Europe QS MBA rankings as well for 2025. If anyone's interested, by the way, in rankings about their specific course, we do list all of that on the website. So if you go on the website and search for the course you're interested in, you'll be able to find the rankings and the relevant statistics to that course. Some of the latest courses that we are ranked in the world top 100 for QS, things like anatomy, physiology, archaeology, architecture, development studies, earth and marine sciences, English language and literature, environmental sciences, geography, geology, geophysics, medicine, and performing arts. These are some of the employers that we've got based in the Northeast. So these are some of the people that students will get quite regular access to. So again, we try to promote students to be as practical, and we always try to promote our courses to be as kind of work practical as possible. And that means giving students as much face time and as much interaction with employers and companies as well. So some examples here, you've got places like Nissan, JSK, Deloitte, Greggs, which is a bit of a local treasure to people from Newcastle. Greggs originated in Newcastle, so everyone here is quite fond of that. But then other places like Digital City, Sage, Procter & Gamble, Barber, NHS, stuff like that. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to meet with employers, especially major employers like this, and gain kind of invaluable experience, either to go and work there in the future or to go and work somewhere else. Entry requirements. Now, I haven't listed specific entry requirements on this because I wasn't too sure specifically what qualifications students would be using or anything like that. But again, if you go on our website, there's two things you can do. You can either email me at the end. Again, I've left my email at the end. So if you've got a question about your specific entry requirements, I'd be happy to go through them. Or if you go on our website, and if you scroll down to the entry requirements section at the bottom, we have a whole host of entry requirements on there that you can look through. So yours hopefully most likely will be on there. If you press in whatever qualification you're doing, then again, it will tell you exactly what we would ask for to allow for entry onto that program. For undergraduate, this is, so anyone interested in undergraduate program, if there's anyone here, all the applications for that go through UCAS. I'll not go through too much of the UCAS options on this because I think mostly students are postgraduate, but I thought I'll put this on there just in case anyone watched was an undergraduate student. There's the information for kind of how to apply through UCAS on there. Postgraduate study, you don't need to do any of that. So our postgraduate applicants will apply directly through us. If you go on our website, go onto a course page, there'll be a button on there that says apply now, assuming the course is open for applications. You just press that and then you'll be taken to our application page and our kind of application hub. Almost all of our postgraduate courses start in September, and you have to apply from a year in advance until at least 3 months. So essentially, almost all of our courses will close 3 months before the start date of the course, which will be September. There's no application fee, so students aren't charged anything to apply. Essentially, all you'll be asked to do is create a student portal. You'll be asked to upload the following documents, so personal details, whatever bachelor's degree that you have. We'll ask you to supply the transcript on there. Again, if you're unsure around entry requirements, if you go on our website and search the country that you got your bachelor's degree from or the country that you got the qualification you're using from, then the entry requirements that we accept from that country will be on there. And if there's any questions, again, please do send me an email and I'll be happy to answer them. An English language exam, if you need it, personal statement, a copy of your passport, CV, and then some references with at least one being academic. Once you've then received an unconditional offer from us and have paid your $1,500 deposit, that's when you'll get your CAS, your confirmation of acceptance of studies, and that's when you can apply for your visa again, should you need one. In terms of tuition fee and scholarships then, so our tuition fee averages for bachelor's courses around 24,000 to 32, and for master's courses they're around 24,000 to 33,000. Living expenses in Newcastle come to around 7,000 to 12,000 per year. This includes everything, so accommodation, food, entertainment, all your travel. Again, this can be quite flexible. It depends on the actual student. When it comes to living expenses, it can sometimes be hard to pin it down because some students are quite good with money and sensible and really budget out what they're going to spend, and some students are a little less good and like to enjoy themselves, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, typically somewhere around there. One of the huge benefits that we have as a city is we are, cost of living wise, one of the cheapest places to live in the UK. Especially if you compare us to a place like London, the amount you're going to be spending to live in a city like that compared to a city like Newcastle, the difference is astronomical. So one of the huge benefits that we've got as a city and a destination is our cost of living is much lower than some of these other places in the UK that you could stay. Some of the funding programs for UG, again, I'm not sure how relevant this will be to the students here, but I thought I'd put them up there just so they can have a look in case there's anyone here. Funding that we've got for postgraduate students. Now, we've got something called the Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship. This does have restrictions based on domicile, so it's worth going onto the website and having a look. There's a whole host of different countries on there, so it's worth having a check to see kind of if you're eligible for that. But if you are, then it's an automatic scholarship. So if you do meet all of the kind of standard eligibility, which is typically just around domicile, and you hold an offer with the university, then you can get up to £8,000. We do have something called a Vice Chancellor's Excellence Scholarship. If you're successful in this, then you can get up to 50% off your tuition. The only eligibility for this is you have to be assessed as an international fee payer. There's no other criteria. You just have to be assessed as an international student, and then you have to submit an application through us. So if you go on your student poll that I was talking about before, on there, there'll be a scholarships section, and that's where you can apply for this scholarship. And like I say, if you're successful, you can get up to 50% off. We do have business school scholarships available. So things like MBAs have scholarships available to them as well. And we are part of the Chieftain scheme. So if you go on the Chieftain website, you can potentially apply for a full UK government scholarship, 16,625, or the full fee through Chieftain, and we are part of that. So those scholarships can be used with us as an institution. So it's worth checking the Achievement Scholarship. Again, this isn't a definitive list. There's more scholarships on the website based on subjects and stuff like that. Once I've finished this presentation and I can use the screen again, I'll send a link to our PG funding page, and you can go through and find scholarships that might be relevant to yourselves. Or if you've got your phone handy, scan that QR code and it'll take you straight to our funding page on the website, and you can check on there. In terms of housing, student support, student experience, so we guarantee accommodation for international students. So all international students are guaranteed accommodation with us. We can't guarantee you'll get your first choice accommodation. It is kind of a first come, first serve basis that we go with when it comes to accommodation, but we do guarantee every student will get one. Most, if not all, of our accommodations are at max a 10-minute walk from campus. Some of them are literally on the campus. It would take you, you could get up at 8:59 and not be late for a 9 o'clock lecture. But the furthest you'd ever have to go is about a 10-minute walk from campus. Our accommodations are really close. And like I've said previously, Newcastle isn't geographically a huge city anyway. You've got a variety of choices when it comes to your accommodation. You can choose a self-catered apartment with a fully equipped kitchen. We've got rooms that have private bathrooms or shared bathrooms. You can have mixed gender or single gender accommodation. So you've got a lot of variation to you. Some accommodations will be a lot newer than some other accommodations. They're all lovely and they're all very livable. But some of them just look a little bit more modern, I guess. And then obviously things like that are usually reflected in the price. And then, like we said, we've got off-campus options available as well, up to kind of around a 10-minute walk from the campus. Our Students' Union that I mentioned before, that lovely building that sits in the middle of our campus, that houses over 200 of our different societies. Societies are essentially just like clubs, I guess, that students will join based on particular subjects that they're interested in. And it's essentially just a way for students to kind of meet up and meet new people that have similar interests to them. But it's also home to over 60 different sports clubs that we've got in a whole host of different sports that students can get involved in and compete and play against other students as well. We do have a fully functioning sports centre on campus. So it's 30 million of investment into a sporting facility. In there, we've got things like a world-class gym. We've got studio spaces. Like you'll see there, we've got squash courts. We've got an 8-court sports hall, which can be repurposed to kind of play any particular inside sport. So things like basketball, netball, futsal, stuff like that. They can all be played in there, and the courts can be repurposed for whatever game's being played. We have a strength and conditioning suite. And we also have high-tech artificial pitches at Cochrane Park, which is about a 5-minute drive from the sports centre for any outdoor sports, things like rugby, football, stuff like that. We ranked top 10 in the UK for the past 7 years for our sport, like I mentioned before. We have performance sports programs. So these are the kind of teams that compete at the highest level of university sport. And we've got teams from basketball, squash, hockey, soccer, American football, lacrosse, volleyball, rowing, rugby, water polo. There is a few other ones as well on there, and they're listed on our Newcastle University sport website. So if anyone is very good at the sport that they play and really wants to kind of go on and compete at a high level, then it's worth checking our performance sport programs that we offer for students doing that. We do have sports scholarships available. So we've got approximately 200 sports scholars competing across 17 different sports. The sports scholarships are a little bit different from a typical scholarship. Usually they're not given out until students are on campus. So it's not something you can kind of rely on a guarantee that you're going to get prior to attending the university. And typically they're not scholarships in the same way you would expect, like the US, how they do theirs. They're not typically tuition fee scholarships. They're usually bursaries paid to the students to help with kind of living costs and stuff like that. And the prices can really vary. So they're not necessarily something that I recommend students kind of base their whole decision making on, because it can be quite a risk, because again, you have to attend the university to know if you're successful. But it can be a nice little added benefit for students, particularly ones that are playing at a high level. in their sport. And we've got partnerships with pro rugby teams, pro football teams, and pro basketball teams as well. The support services that we offer. So we offer pre-arrival and arrival support. So we have things like airport pickup. So if anyone will be arriving into Newcastle from the airport, we can pick you up from the airport, take you to your accommodation, and kind of give you a little overview and show you around a little bit. And we also do something called International Welcome Week. So this happens the week before Freshers Week, which is like the first typical week on campus that students have. And this is essentially where we'll do a host of different sessions. We encourage international students to meet with each other and network with each other. But we also do sessions kind of based on Newcastle as a city and can help show students around campus, show them where their local amenities are, like shops and gyms and stuff like that, and help them just get their bearings to what can be a strange place when students are first arriving, especially if they're not used to the UK in particular. It can be somewhat strange for them. So we have that to kind of help international students get their bearings a little bit, especially while the campus is a little bit quieter before the rest of our students come in, and hopefully they're kind of more well equipped when it comes to their health and well-being. We do a lot for mental health support, counselling and group work. We have something called Dogs for Welfare as well, where students can go and kind of help some dogs. And we also have a campus cat as well. Its origin is unknown. Who it belongs to is also unknown. But it just kind of wanders the campus, and students and staff will feed it, and it just comes back because people will stroke it and look after it and give it food. So it's become known as the campus cat. Someone actually did figure out its name, but I can't remember what it is. But yes, it just wanders the campus. It's a lovely cat. Disability and specialist learning support. We've got study skills support, exam arrangements, loan equipment students can get access to. All you have to do is let us know what it is that you need and what support you might need from us, and we can get that. We can have that in place from before you even start the university. If you let us know kind of what it is that you might need from us, we'll make sure that's all kind of set in place long before you come, so it's ready to go for when you arrive. We have financial guidance available for students, emergency loans if necessary, and we also have 24/7 campus security on our campus, 365 days a year, including Christmas Day. That is essentially everything from me. I've kind of talked and rambled quite a lot there, so I apologize if I went over something too quickly. If you'd like to find out more, this is a QR code that takes you to our website. Alternatively, you can just type in Newcastle University on Google, and the website will come up there. And the website is essentially the gospel for information. So that's going to have all the information about our programs. You can find out information about the university and the facilities that we've got. You can take virtual campus tours. You can go around and see the campus a little bit, and explore and kind of see what there is to see. And you can also find out about scholarships and funding and anything like that we've got on the website as well. Failing that, if anyone has any further questions and would like to send me an email, that is my email there, daniel.sutton@newcastle.ac.uk. Please don't hesitate to just send me an email. Mimosa also has my email, so if anyone wants to email her and she can forward on to me, whatever the preference is, I don't mind. But once the session's over, if anyone has any questions or would like to just sit down and have a chat with myself, I'm more than happy to arrange something and to put something in. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. But yeah, other than that, that is everything from me. So thank you very much. I will.
Thank you for your sharing. And now we will come to the Q&A session that students have sent some question. And if anyone have question, you guys can get it in the box chat. And we have the very first question is, how flexible are the course structures? Are there any part-time or accelerated pathways?
So postgraduate, yes. Typically with undergraduate, it's difficult, right? So with undergraduate, it's a 3-year program full time, so it's difficult for us to be flexible with that. Postgraduate, almost all, I think, if not all, 95% plus of our postgraduate programs can be done either part-time or full-time. So if you do it full-time, it's a 1-year program. If you were to do it part-time, it would be 2 years. So you would have your kind of learning hours would be cut in half. You'd get more kind of time to go through and progress through the program, and you could do it part-time. In terms of accelerated pathways, we do have some programs that allow students to kind of go through. It might not be a full master's program, master's degree that you would kind of come out with, but we do have kind of CPD programs, professional learning, professional development programs that students can do in a lot of different subject areas that won't be kind of a full year. They might be like 3-6 month programs students can do, and they're still kind of professional development learning qualifications. So they're also options. But yeah, in terms of full-on degree programs that we've got at postgraduate, almost all of them can be done either full-time or part-time.
And the second question is that what's the most popular master course for the international students and which scholarships are available for it?
Most popular is a tough question. I think the most popular programs we've got at the minute are going to be things within kind of business, engineering, data science is kind of the particularly where we seem to find students are kind of moving over to. And we get a lot of students go through and do things like MBAs are really popular, business management programs, accounting and finance programs, and then things like data science and stuff like that as well, especially because kind of where the Northeast is going as a region and how much they're kind of leading into this kind of data science, AI kind of programming. We're finding a lot of students that are choosing to come here to do things like that. In terms of the scholarships I had on the website before, they're available for all our programs. So the Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship, the kind of automatic one, assuming that you meet the criteria, is available for every master's program at the university. And then the other one, the one you have to apply for that is eligible up to 50%, is also available to everyone at the university, for every program at the university as well. I don't know all the specific program scholarships because they're decided by the faculties themselves rather than on a rather than by us and kind of our external teams. But again, so the website's the best place to go for those. But yeah, the scholarships that I listed on the PowerPoint before are eligible for all the postgraduate programs. The criteria is more on the student themselves rather than the actual program.
Yes, we can see that there are some scholarships that students can apply for. And the next question is that are there opportunities for students to work as a research assistant during their master program?
There's definitely opportunities, yeah. So a big benefit of being part of the Russell Group is we're still really actively kind of involved in different research projects around the world. So a lot of our academics will be either personally or previously had been involved in different research projects. Some of them will take kind of quite regularly sabbaticals and go and take part in different kind of development research projects, and that, especially for master's students, is always pushed out, and there's always opportunities for students to get involved in that themselves. Again, it's one of the big things that we kind of push on as a university is encouraging students to get involved in stuff outside of just kind of your typical kind of learning, I guess. And stuff like this is huge, especially in our kind of science-based, engineering-based programs where there's kind of constantly ever developing changes and they're always trying to push to learn more and kind of striving to do things differently. There absolutely will always be opportunities for students to get involved in research programs as assistants, or whether it just be part-time work for a particular project. There's absolutely opportunities, and I recommend that all of our students do it as well because it's a great experience.
So we have quite a lot of question here. The next one is that what industry or employers do Newcastle University have strong connections with, especially in STEM or business?
In terms of STEM business employers, a few of them that I listed before. So in terms of like things like business, we've got people like Sage, which is a huge kind of, I guess they kind of sit a little bit in the middle, I guess. We've got something called Sunderland Software City, which has a host of different software employers in there. Places like Procter and Gamble, Northern Power Grid, Nissan, stuff like that, I guess a little bit more engineering. We've also got companies like Siemens, Samsung, which have stuff based out here in the Northeast as well. And places like Ubisoft as well. So if anyone's interested in kind of the gaming atmosphere in that kind of area, then they're operated out of the Northeast as well. Again, if you're interested, if you have kind of a more, because obviously you've mentioned kind of two kind of big subject areas with kind of STEM and business. If you kind of know what subject area you want to go into, if you go on the course page for that, I'm just trying to see if I can get the course kind of up. To kind of give you an example, if you go on our course page, we have essentially like a Your Future section. And if you go into that, it literally lists all the businesses that you can get involved in, the places our students have gone to work for previously, and then the industry links that we've got as part of that program as well. Kind of industry experience is one thing that we kind of pride ourselves on and push really hard for, which is again why we've kind of promoted the Helix site to have businesses and employers in there, and why we kind of push for that to be a kind of regular thing. So yeah, we definitely have a lot of them. I can't kind of list all of them off the top of my head, but again, if you go on the website for the program that you're interested in, you'll definitely find examples there of kind of employers that we've got strong links with in particular for that program.
Yes, thank you. For the next question, does the university offer mentorship programs pairing the student with the industry professionals or the alumni?
So with industry professionals, I don't want to say we have like a mentorship program per se. We don't kind of have something formally in place where we'll just kind of randomly pair you with an industry professional and you'll kind of have regular catch-ups. In terms of our kind of something similar to that, every student's given a mentor from the university. So you'll be given a staff member from the university that will mentor you through your program. We can also pair students with alumni if they choose to do so. So the alumni one is something we could do. The closest thing we've got in terms of a mentorship program, I suppose, with industry professionals is almost all of our courses will have really regular networking opportunities. So essentially, we push students to attend a lot of these networking events. We host them quite regularly across our different programs. And that's where we kind of give students the opportunity to network and meet with different industry professionals in subject areas they're interested in. And that's where we want students to kind of expand their reach a little bit and meet these people that they can then kind of have informal, I guess, mentorship arrangements with. But in terms of formal ones, you'll get ones with staff members at the university, someone in that area that you're interested in, and we can also have it done with other students and alumni as well.
So we have a really specific case. A student would like to ask that I have master degree, but is it possible to apply for the second master in Newcastle University? Or if compared to the Master of Research or PhD program, do I need to prepare the research proposal for two?
So if you were doing a PhD program, you would need a research proposal. In terms of doing a second master's program, we have no issues with that at all. You can apply for as many master's programs as you like. So even if you've already got a master's program previously, then absolutely you can still apply and do another one. We've got no issues with that. Again, it's obviously something you need to think about yourself in terms of do you want to do just another similar master's program, or like you said, do you maybe want to do something a little bit different and work up to the next level? In terms of an MRes, a Master's of Research program, you wouldn't necessarily need your own research proposal upon applying for that. It might be something that you'll then have to develop throughout the program. But no, in terms of when at the application stage, you wouldn't necessarily need to have that for an MRes, a Master's of Research, or for one of our kind of more regular master's programs. But if you were to do a PhD through the PhD program, then you would need to have a research proposal prior to application for that.
And our very last question, are there any internship or placement opportunities in the master programs?
Yeah, so with our master's programs, we always, again, like I've kind of been pushing in terms of what we're trying to do. We keep pushing for students to kind of get work experience, and we push for students to kind of go out and do that. So because of that, not all of our master's programs will have internships as part of it, and placement opportunities where students will go and work. In terms of the timings of them will be different again, depending on the program, how long you're there for. But we do push for all of our programs to have those opportunities. Some of our programs will have study abroad opportunities. Alternatively, some might not have them. We're pushing to kind of try and expand how many of these programs have it. But yeah, for as many programs as we can, we have internships and we have placements built in. So we push for students to go and take those opportunities. If you go on the website, when you have a look at the course you're interested in, it'll say whether the placement's built into that particular program. So yeah, there is some of those built in, and there is those opportunities built into some of our master's programs, but not all of them.
All right, thank you so much for your answers. And I hope that everyone have a really insightful session today about Newcastle University. And if you want to get enrolled or apply for the university, we can connect to IE Global or with Daniel for more questions. And thank you, Daniel, so much for our session today. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks everyone for your time.
Yes, thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye now.
Bye.